Hey everybody, welcome to the show again. The first time today. Haven't done it even one time before this. The first time again, just like last week. Flawless. We're professionals. We're good at this. Hey everybody, welcome to the.
In no way are we bad at this.
No, welcome to the program. You'll notice that if you're watching the show, it's gonna be a little slow on there. I got the frames turned down pretty low while I'm tinkering around with this new old computer that I got. So it'll be a little slow looking. But remember, this is a listening show. This is a radio show. Right? So
I mean, I know some people who just watch and just stare at me the entire time, but
I think I know the same person.
Yeah. Well, there's like 3 of them now.
Oh no.
But more power to us. That's more viewership.
I can't wait to see them wearing your skin.
I don't want to see that, and I hope it never happens. But I do appreciate the support from the supporters.
I'm.
They would literally be supporters because their body would be supporting my skin at that point.
One day I will be part of him. We will be one. All right.
Yeah,
hey,
sorry
everybody.
everyone for that intro.
Welcome to the Saturday show. We're here.
God.
Hey, you know what? It's looking better. I think we might have figured it out. Good job, Zach. Help me troubleshoot from afar. Every week we do something like this, don't we? Whatever. Well, that's okay. We have a show planned for you today. Guess what? It's not going to be very much football because there's no game to pick for tomorrow. Oh, unless you want to, I guess if you want to pick the Pro Bowl.
Yeah, let's not even talk about the Pro Bowl on this show.
Okay, cool. That settled that pretty easily.
Yeah, because I don't want to.
Is there anything else we want to mention that we don't want to talk about because we don't care about those things? No.
Yeah.
The Pro Bowl's it then?
No, that's really the only thing that I don't care about in the world.
Okay, cool.
Yeah,
so
I watched the skills competition for 5 minutes because it was on at the gym on Thursday.
Oh, yeah?
And they had a bunch of like non-quarterbacks doing like quarterback challenges.
Okay.
And I was like, wow, this could actually be really entertaining. Let's find out who's actually good at throwing a football. And then some of them, like Von Miller, was so bad that it wasn't fun to watch. It was like watching a 5-year-old try to throw a full-size NFL football. And I was like, why is this television? This should not be TV. But it was TV.
Can we actually just not have this be TV anymore?
Yeah, I would prefer if this was not TV.
I'm excited about the content of today's show though, because we have you came up with the great idea on Wednesday to do mid-season NBA awards.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been really excited about it because I've had to learn more about basketball this year than I've ever learned. So I was excited to put together my list, which I have mostly finished. You gave me a little bit of time to get this done before,
Well, it wouldn't be sports program if we didn't improvise on a little bit of it. So
yeah, I mean, because one of them. So like, I have. Can one person win 2 awards? Has that ever happened?
Sure, yeah.
Because I have.
But here's what I also feel, and I feel this about real life. It's not just something that I did when I was making my picks today, but it's something I know that they do in real life for certain awards. Do you ever feel like someone wins a different award because they didn't give them another award? Like they were the runner-up for MVP because they really were the second best player, but they're like, let's give him Defensive Player of the Year because he deserves an award.
This actually might be because that might be for my 6th man then.
Yeah.
Because
I mean, it happens. It's like, oh, this guy I'm not going to give Comeback Player of the Year for, but maybe he's also the 6th man of the year, Derrick Rose.
That's actually who I have. That's it.
Don't even. Let's save it. Save it, bud. Save it, bud. I gave him something, but I gave him something different. So
okay.
Yeah, let's not spoiler alert everything this early in the show.
Not yet. But I'm really excited to go over these though. I added a few pretty cool categories. I added one. I have biggest D bag,
Good.
and
Good.
I added just favorite player, like favorite current player.
Yeah.
You know, because when you're a kid, you always just have like your favorite player. So
I mean, that for me, that depicts what other games I'm going to watch throughout the season. So, I
yeah,
mean, I don't want to watch. It's really hard for me to get into a game that's not a Spurs game. It's like, why do I care? You know, you just end up sitting there like looking at your phone for half of it. But
right.
when there's like a player that I like, I can watch it just as like thoroughly as I would watch a Spurs game, which is good because we talk about basketball on the show. So I should probably watch other teams play basketball.
Well, so that's kind of where I went. That's kind of where I went with it too. It's like I didn't give him this, but I literally have watched more Toronto Raptors this year than I ever have in my entire life because Kawhi Leonard's on the team, and it's exciting to watch. Even though they were a good team last year, really good team last year. I just, I didn't watch them.
Yeah, I mean, he is the reason that I watch them more. But also he's the reason they're on television more.
That's true. They played last night.
They did. Did they end up losing that game? Yeah.
I think they did end up losing that game.
Every time I watch a Toronto's Raptor game, they lose. Like every time. So
you might be there.
I should probably.
Tonight.
I'm the curse.
You're their curse. Their personal curse is you.
Well, I should be because he broke my heart.
You broke my heart, Kawhi Leonard.
You broke my heart, Kawhi.
I ain't ever gonna go back to you.
Yeah, I was gonna give you everything.
I would have given you everything and said you will get nothing.
Yeah, you get nothing now.
You're a monster. Got some good college, but I know you like my segue. Just
moving on.
I have West Virginia on right now.
Well, they like to upset people. So
and Tennessee. Well, they're currently up on Tennessee.
Well, they beat Kansas last weekend while we were doing a show. I think they can only win upsets, basically.
Maybe they're just an upsetting team.
Yeah, my parents are pretty upset. So they did that.
They're 9-10. Oh God, they are 9-10.
Their offense is so bad. They've always hung their hat on defense because it's a Bob Huggins team, but this is a different level of how much they have to rely on defense. But last week against Kansas, they got 65 points, and I said on the show, if a defensive team in college basketball can get 65 points, it's like Virginia. They got a pretty good chance because they hold a lot of teams in the 50s. So
the stream is running so good now that I could turn a game back on, but I won't. But I could.
Yeah, but you could, but you shouldn't. But you could.
I'm not gonna because I don't want to ruin it mid-thing. But I'm just saying, it is working better. I think just having nothing on this computer. Everyone, our fans, our supporters, you get to learn with us. We have a podcast. We have a sports podcast about how to make a sports podcast.
Yeah, because we're
it's made. It's an episode of how it's made, but it's also how it's made poorly.
Mm-hmm.
Which fits with the network, really. The whole theme, the overall theme of the network.
It's the overall genre that we're in.
So, I have taken your workout that you've given me, and I have added that on to my mornings because I get up so early. And you know what? It's going all right. It's a really early morning. That's an early day because I go to I go do my homework at 6:30 in the morning. Well, now I've added on working out at like 4:30.
Man, that's crazy. Well, I see that you're awake when I'm awake, and I'm awake in Mountain Time, so an hour ahead of you. So I'm always impressed.
I hope they change all of Idaho to Mountain Time. Because
I wish they would.
Well, I mean, because I think Washington's talking about going to Mountain Time. So if they do that,
well, yeah, I think that what they want to do is go to Mountain Time and then just get rid of daylight savings time.
They absolutely want to do that, and I would be fine with that as well because I am not a farmer.
Yeah, I've never needed to save daylight for any reason.
It's always been a weird concept to me. It's like cutting off the bottom of a sheet to sew it to the top of it.
Right, and they do it at the time of the year where it gets darker earlier anyways.
Yeah, that's confusing.
You guys are dumb. That's what I got to say about that. Whoever invented that, you're dumb, Ben Franklin.
Boy, it was Ma and Pa whatever. Time to turn our clocks back, Ma. All right,
Yeah,
Pa.
I always thought it was Benny Franklin. But
One of our babies died again. All right. Last week on the show, on the Saturday show, we talked about how we are not going to talk about esports, but I was also given another note, and I wanted to drop it on you.
Yeah.
By a listener.
Okay.
They would like for us to talk about more history of sports.
Well, I can do that. I give a history lesson of sports at least once a week at work.
Okay. So maybe not like off the cuff right now, but maybe we should try finding a way to come to the table with a brief history lesson. We'll make it a segment.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, if you want to do a sports history with Zach once or twice a month, I'll do it. But
I think that'd be fun, yeah. And
I've accidentally done it, by the way. Whoever that listener is, I mean, one of our first shows, I went on like a tangent about like the 2003 NBA finals.
Yeah.
And I mean, I also went on a tangent a month ago about Drew Henson, who no one knows exists, but he was the starter over Tom Brady at Michigan. And then ended up going and playing baseball, which I only brought up because of Kyler Murray. And then he had like, regrets at like 26 and decided to put himself in the draft, and the Cowboys took a chance on him, which we all know he lost his job to a guy named Tony Romo.
Oh, hey, speaking of the Cowboys.
Yeah.
Kellen Moore and who else? Somebody else. Kellen Moore graduated from quarterback coach, though, to something else. Where did he go?
I didn't even know he was a quarterback coach.
Oh, so Kellen Moore has been the quarterback coach since he broke his leg, and then Dak Prescott jumped in.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so he's been the quarterback coach. But now he is. What is he now? He's like pretty close to be. I guess he's pretty close to being offensive coordinator.
Oh, I mean, he seems like a smart dude.
Oh, it's okay. So this is what it was. This is what I saw. It's reports that Kellen Moore, to be the Cowboys' offensive coordinator, may also call plays. So Kellen Moore, what a cool little success story for that Boise player. And you know what? The Cowboys have Van Der Esch too, who's also a Boise State player.
Well, he's just an Idaho guy all together.
Yes. So I thought that was because I think Kellen Moore's from like Prosser, Washington. Don't fact check.
I don't know. I don't know where he's from. I just knew that.
But yeah, Van Der Esch is from
Riggins.
But yeah, anyway, I thought that was cool. I saw that yesterday. Kellen Moore, offensive coordinator, Kellen Moore. And I mean, he didn't have a great NFL career. He broke his leg. I mean, it's kind of weird to think about because he was the backup for Romo. So had he not broken his leg, he might have been in the same position as Dak Prescott.
Yeah,
maybe.
but he's not as good.
He's not as good. Also, if he would have been in that position, though, as the first backup quarterback, when Romo got healthy enough to come back, there wouldn't have been a big outcry to keep Kellen Moore in.
Yeah, and then we might still have Tony Romo as an NFL quarterback. So
yeah, exactly.
A lot of things could have went very different.
A lot of history changed because of Kellen Moore's broken leg. A lot of landscape history changed for the Dallas Cowboys because of a broken leg. But now the other history that is going to change for them is that it's looking like he's going to be the offensive coordinator. So good for him. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, I hope he does bad, but good for him.
I hope he does. I mean, I would be okay with him doing good at a different team.
I hope he does bad no matter where he goes.
Is it because of Boise State or?
It's because of the time that he played for Boise State. I didn't enjoy those teams.
You didn't enjoy watching the Fiesta Bowl and.
I mean, his team beat Virginia Tech opening night one year in Washington. That team also beat the Ducks, I believe.
Yeah,
So I
they
mean,
did. Yeah.
I just don't care for any part of that.
That was a tough Boise State team. You know, when they went to the first Fiesta Bowl, I always have to point out to people because people have really short memories. Because they'll be like, yeah, Kellen Moore, Fiesta Bowls. And I go, no, Kellen Moore, Fiesta Bowl. Because Jared Zabransky was the quarterback. Mr. Zabransky, who also played for the Steelers for like a practice quarterback and was released.
Mm-hmm.
Same with Dennis Dixon.
That's true.
They should have kept Dixon.
I mean, he didn't make it in the NFL, so they didn't need to.
No, he did not make it. Poor Dennis Dixon. He could have, maybe. I don't know. Anyway.
Probably not. If he could have, he would have.
So that's a little history lesson. Also coming up this weekend, you know what's happening tomorrow, Mr. Swan? Even if you're not a wrestling fan, tomorrow is still probably one of the best days for sporting events because tomorrow is the Royal Rumble, and that is by far my favorite pay-per-view.
Well, because they do the women's and the males now, right?
Yeah, and it's been a lot of fun. And the Royal Rumble is just a fun match anyways. It's always chaotic and a lot of botches, which I love watching.
Botch jobs.
Botch job.
Total botch job.
The other pay-per-view that's really fun to watch is Money in the Bank, which, again, has a lot of botch jobs in it.
You know that's one of my favorites. I always say that. I'm like, yeah, I don't watch much of them. I watch, like, Royal Rumble, Money in the Bank, and, like, SummerSlam probably sometimes.
Yeah, SummerSlam. WrestleMania is good. It's just it's so long.
Yeah, I don't have that much time in the day, and it's always at a time of the year where there's a lot of other stuff going on. So
I know. I think WrestleMania last year was 6 hours long if you include the pre-show, which is good Lord, that is so long. Why? There's not that much going on. I don't need to watch Flo Rida come sing a song in the middle of it. Good God, man, you're slowing it down more.
It's so weird.
18 minutes of that is the Undertaker walking to the ring to wrestle for 1 minute.
All right. He's all walking.
Yeah, it's him walking to the ring and doing this grand. I mean, and don't get me wrong, it's a cool entrance, right? I mean, he's a legend and it's cool. It's eerie, you know. But then he walks out there and and his legs are just two by four. So there's two pieces of wood, man. He's just so wooden. And I'm not trying to hurt on the Undertaker. I'm just saying he's needs to be retired. Poor
Dude
guy.
Clearly needs money.
He's just Oh, that's exactly what it is, you know.
Right.
But you think you would have enough money, but nope. He must not.
Some people aren't very good at holding on to it, and I feel like most wrestlers are alcoholics.
Well, yeah,
at least
because they have to drink to wash down the opioids that they're taking fistfuls of,
right,
as well as their steroids and everything else.
Yeah, and the denial that their parents will never love them. Yeah,
right. Yeah,
I would wash that down too.
I would, yeah, wash that down with a nice Chianti. But yeah, tomorrow is Royal Rumble. Ronda Rousey is in one of the main events. I think she's wrestling Sasha Banks, which means Ronda Rousey will be the champion for another couple months. Because I just don't see her handing over a title to Sasha Banks this close to WrestleMania. So that means Ronda Rousey's had a successful wrestling career thus far. Good for her. Ronda watch. Oh, and the other main event is this one's actually pretty good. It's Brock Lesnar and Finn Balor, who is like small and light. And I always think that Brock Lesnar has better wrestling matches when he's wrestling somebody who's really small and fast. Because
so he can just toss them around like a big old bear.
Yeah, and they just seem to have better chemistry, you know? Like they can Brock doesn't really he's got great cardio. Like
Mhm.
for his tiny as his little toothpick legs are, he must do a lot of running because he's got great cardio. He doesn't get gassed that often.
Yeah.
Did he get
Well,
gassed a lot in the UFC?
I mean, his wins didn't go very long, and then when he went against people with great cardio like Cain Velasquez, they socked him up pretty good. Because
Okay.
Cain Velasquez is 30 pounds lighter than he is. Cain Velasquez is a more athletic. I mean, he's kind of was at the time cardio king of the division, and yeah, he put a hurting on Brock just because that's the way he could move, basically. The way I look at like Brock Lesnar's movement, yeah, it can look quick and it can seem like he's got great cardio, but it's very like stiff just because of how broad he is.
Yeah.
I mean, it would be similar to like the Juggernaut coming at you.
Yeah. You know,
But I mean, in real life, I mean, if the Juggernaut was coming at you, you would just move to the left or the right.
right.
I don't know. That's how I feel about him. He looks to me, he looks very stiff. Like he's a big ogre stumbling around type of guy.
Yeah. And I think that, I mean, at this point, he's still in great. I mean, obviously, he's still in really good shape. I don't know if we're ever going to see the Cormier Lesnar thing. I don't know.
Yeah, Cormier's just getting old now, but I think if he knows the money's there, he'll stick around. Who knows if we'll actually end up seeing it? But like, that's another thing is, that's another person who would definitely just out wrestle him. It's weird. These guys that are much smaller than him they seem like they're so much stronger than he is, which is crazy because he looks like a beast of a human.
Well, then what did I read about Brock Lesnar too? He just recently was like going to wrestle somebody, like actually wrestle somebody.
I believe that. Well, a lot of these guys, even like UFC guys, will do like grappling or wrestling matches in between.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't be surprised if that was the case.
There's something that was more recently happened, but yeah, he was gonna do some grappling or something. I thought that was kind of cool. I think he's a competitor. He's just always going to be a competitor.
Yeah, and I think that's cool also. I mean, if you're doing a like fake sport, you'd probably want to go out there and win something for real instead of being told you're either going to win or lose something.
And that must be what it is that he still wants to do UFC because he is a competitor and he wants to win, and he still wants to do grappling because he wants to either win or lose. I mean, I'm sure there's something, even if he goes out there and loses, it's still like, okay, well, I lost because I was competitive.
For real.
Yeah, and I actually lost.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. And I think, I mean, I'd like to see him do more just because his career in like actual like combat sports was so short that we never really got a good grasp of where he actually falls in like the line of like all time people of the division. So like his record is at such a small number because of how few times he's competed. We don't know if he's actually like an all-time top 10 guy, all-time top 20 guy. We really don't know where he falls in the sport, and it'd be good to kind of figure that out.
He's definitely like, he's going to be somebody that when he's eventually done doing all of that stuff, because when he is done with absolutely everything, he's just going to go disappear to Minnesota and Canada,
Live on a farm,
and live on his farm, on his very secluded farm ranch. And he's a hunter. He's a big hunter. I mean, I think we'll never hear from him again once he's actually done.
Yeah, I agree with that because he's really not a big talker. So
No.
I don't think we would hear from him very much. He's not a guy who's going to go be like a villain in a B-rate action film.
No. And I'd be willing to bet that when he gets inducted to the WWE Hall of Fame, I would be surprised if he actually even gets up and gives a speech. I'd be less surprised if he just had Paul Heyman do it for him.
Yeah, that'd be kind of funny. I think he will. I think it'll be bad. It'll be one of those things where we're like, wow, we let him talk for too long.
Maybe
it seems like that was the UFC's mistake every time. They're like, oh, we shouldn't have let that guy say that many things.
Yeah. Every time he talks, though, he always says what's on his mind, and what's on his mind is not very nice things. He doesn't like gay people. He's openly said that.
Right. Yeah, he almost says something borderline racist every time he speaks too. So
I still maintain he's got to. I think he's a huge racist. I'm sure.
yeah,
But I don't know.
Yeah, when someone's that big as a human, you really can't change their mind about many things.
No, and I don't want to try. Not to his face.
I agree with that.
He's an athlete that I don't ever want to meet. I don't ever want to meet Brock Lesnar.
I don't want to meet most famous people.
Yeah. I always feel like when you meet famous people, it's either a little bit of a letdown.
Yeah, don't meet your heroes, but if they already seem like a douche, that's probably worse.
Yeah. He got like he was in it. He was on some WWE backstage thing, and they had that little Sam whatever. He does like interviews, and he says, "What's the haps?" Like that's how he's greets people. So he's like, Paul Heyman's with him, and he's like, "All right, you got 1 minute," like and he goes, "Hey Brock, what's the haps?" And that was enough, and he just goes, "What's the haps?" And then he just ended it, and then Brock Lesnar, and then Paul Heyman goes, "That was what you led with." He's like, you got 1 minute, and that was it. And then you could tell the guy felt very stupid.
Yeah, I'd probably feel pretty dumb as well.
I would have just been like, "Hey, don't hurt me."
Yeah, that guy's lucky there was not more consequences.
Yeah, I'll say. He's a scary guy. He's a scary dude. Yeah. Royal Rumble tomorrow. I'll be watching it. I want to watch it at a friend's house, but I also have things to do. So I'm at a catch-22 here. I'll probably just watch it at home. That's okay. The Super Bowl though is next week.
We're almost there, yeah.
We're almost there. I've been hearing a lot of talk about the Rams being there. You guys, like, the no call was rough, but the Rams still deserve to be there.
Yeah, I mean, I talked about it a little on Wednesday, and I've talked to a few other people about it. It's just if you're the Saints and you don't win the game, and you can only blame one play, you didn't do enough to win the game.
Yeah, I mean, especially since they got the ball in overtime. Look at the difference between Drew Brees and Tom Brady. Tom Brady got the ball in overtime, drove it down the field very easily, got a touchdown, end of game.
Right.
And Drew Brees didn't do it.
And that's something that he's known to do.
Yeah.
But he didn't have great numbers on the day. The team in general
No.
didn't have great numbers on the day. And I'm really not trying to bash against them.
No.
I don't know. I even said beforehand, I thought the Saints were the best team of the four that were I thought they were the best team in the playoffs, period. But
yeah. Well, and then so I watched some stuff yesterday. So Bill Belichick's not well known for revealing any of his tactics going into a Super Bowl, but apparently
right.
Sean McVay is not the same. And so he had a little interview where he talked about what they were going to need to do to stop the New England offense. I thought that was interesting for him just to be like, yeah, we just got to make sure we get more hands on Brady and not let him roll to the left, not let him roll, not let him, get. We need to make sure he doesn't have any time to throw and blah blah blah. It was all pretty like blanket stuff. It was kind of like, of course he was Sean McVay, so he made it sound very technical, but it was essentially like when I had my impersonation of a really bad sports analysis guy. You remember on old episodes? All right, Derek, what's the key to today's game? I talked to the coach, and he says that they need to get the ball, and then they gotta score touchdowns. And then when they don't have the ball, they need to not let the other team score touchdowns. Back to you, Joyce. And then it's like, and then they stand there. I stare at the camera for a second because it's always like a second delay.
Mm-hmm.
But that's kind of how he was, though. That's kind of how Sean McVay was. It's like, we got to make sure he doesn't throw the ball, and we need to get in there fast. Okay. Thank you.
I'm a fan of that guy.
I like him. He looks like he wants to win a Super Bowl and then sell me creatine.
Yeah,
from his
he's gonna
GNC.
tell you. He's gonna tell you what protein shake doesn't upset your stomach.
Yeah. Have you seen, Zach? I did share it on Facebook because I thought it's adorable.
Yeah.
Have you seen Sean McVay's spotter on the field?
Yes, I have. I watched the video that you shared, and I did not know about it beforehand. But
I didn't either.
What a great relationship those two have.
Oh, I thought there was something so wholesome about it.
Mm-hmm.
That a guy literally just, is that like his job is just to like grab him by the waist
And pull him back so he doesn't run into the referee.
So he doesn't run into the ref or run onto the field. And what I imagine the conversation that maybe came from it was like, it's because he gets really excited, If you watch him, he gets really excitable and he runs up and down the field, and you can get in trouble for coming off of the sideline and getting onto the field. If you come out of the coach's box.
Well, I assume it stems from at one point in time he legitimately got ran into by a referee, or multiple times.
Sure. And
he's been trampled before, and he doesn't want to be hurt again.
Yeah. And so he has this guardian angel that runs around and pulls him back by the waist, and it's really, it was honestly, it was quite adorable to watch that video. I felt charmed. Are they gonna have a calendar of hottest coaches next year?
I mean, I don't know who else would be on it.
Cliff, whatever, for the Cardinals.
Sounds like you should be the one in charge of this, bud.
If I can make it happen, I'll do it.
Sounds like they need to consult you.
Well, those are the two. I don't know who else is. I'm okay. Maybe we'll throw Mike Tomlin on there. He looks like Will.i.am.
I think we should just make them all dress like whatever the team's mascot is.
Oh yeah, I like that.
Yeah, I need you to be like a sexy cardinal.
Oh.
How do you be a sexy Steeler? That's what I want to know.
They probably do that old logo of the guy with the hard hat.
Yeah, they just put him in a hard hat. You're right. Sexy Ram, though. I'm interested in that.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to see him rock the horns.
I've seen a lot of graphics online of people taking the Rams logo and changing it to the color of their team and then throwing their logo on there. I saw one of the Steelers. I saw one of the Falcons. They're like, this is my team this year. They're taking the Rams logo and changed it to black and gold, and then they put the the Steeler logo in it.
Honestly, all that stuff kind of drives me nuts that so many people are every year, like when the Falcons were in the Super Bowl. I told my coworker who's a Rams fan, I told him the same thing. I said, you're going to experience what I experienced, where every person's like, I'm on your team right now. And it's kind of annoying to the point where there's so many people doing it that I think I will be actively rooting for the Patriots during the Super Bowl now.
I have decided that for this Super Bowl, I am just going to root for as good of a Super Bowl as last year.
I mean, that's all you really can do. And like how they've been recently in general.
Yeah. Like I just basically want the same thing. I just don't want a blowout of either team. I feel like I want the New England fans to be stressed out, and I want the LA fans to be stressed out.
Mm-hmm.
So make it happen, teams. Make me stressed out. But it should be I think it'll be a good game. I do love the story. I love, young Sean McVay out there and old Bill Belichick and young Jared Goff and old Tom Brady. And do you think if Brady wins, he plays another season?
I think he plays another season regardless.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't even think that's a question. I mean, the guy said he was going to play till he was like 45, and I even earlier this year he said the plan hasn't changed. So,
if he loses this one, so we already know he breaks a record every time he goes to a Super Bowl because no one has been to as many as him.
Right.
He's been to 8, so this is his 9th. If he loses this one, he actually ties a record.
For the most lost.
He ties Jim Kelly.
Yeah, which is a crappy record. I'm glad someone's going to break that because Jim's had a rough life.
Yeah. In fact, maybe I'll root for the Rams just so Tom does get that record.
He's starting to get kind of the LeBron James vibe. You know, LeBron James has been to so many finals, but he's lost so many.
Yeah.
It seems very similar.
I still think it's an incredible feat for him to go to 9 Super Bowls, and even if he loses it, that's a record I would still wear with honor.
100%. I don't think it's going to bother him at all. That's why it's so funny what people say about Tom Brady. It's like you can talk all the trash you want about him. No one's ever going to like accomplish what he's accomplished. So.
Oh man, I would watch a sit-down interview with Jim Kelly and Tom Brady where they talk about their 4 falls.
Oh, I don't want to watch anything where Tom Brady's talking. I don't enjoy it.
He's a boring guy.
But when he's on like late night talk show stuff, yeah, he just seems like he has no real personality at all.
No,
I wouldn't want to listen to it. I don't enjoy it.
He does. I'll say this: Tom does okay on Westwood One on Monday nights. When they bring on Westwood One, they bring in Tom Brady and they bring in Larry Fitzgerald every game to like talk about the game, talk about their team, and then Larry Fitzgerald talks about Phoenix Online, and then Tom Brady has something, I can't remember what he endorses, but it's some other thing.
Yes, he's got to promote something as well.
But it's okay. I mean, it's never like that dynamic. It's just always like Tom doesn't ever talk badly about the other teams ever. So he's always just like, yeah, this is going to be a great game tonight. Both teams are very hard. Like it could be like the Raiders this year and the Browns last year playing. And he'd be like, both teams are really good and they'll fight really hard. And you're like, no, they are not. They are not good, and they're not going to fight hard.
Yeah, he's a very PC dude.
He is. Yeah. He doesn't talk the trash. It's not his thing.
Mm-hmm.
He's not a corner. Or
yeah,
a safety.
for sure.
But I've always said I would like him a little more if he was just more of a heel. But then again,
you like your heels.
But then again, I hate Julian Edelman, so. And he's a heel. By far. Who's more of a heel, Julian Edelman or Richard Sherman?
I mean, Richard Sherman's not very relevant now, but he was more of a heel for sure.
He'll be
that's not even comparable.
He'll be relevant again next year.
If the team's relevant, yeah, but it's not like he's a number 1 corner anymore.
No, that's true.
So he probably shouldn't run his mouth as much.
I know we'll have to wait till, towards the end of this year. I mean, like August-ish. But I want to do too early to call football really soon. I don't know why. I just really want. I'm already in speculation mode for next year.
I would at least wait until the draft.
Yeah, that's what we'll do. And I think I'm just so interested because there's a few teams. Maybe this is something before the draft I'll bring up my biggest questions and I'll have you answer them for me. But like one of the questions I have, for an example is, so where do the Seahawks fall next year? Because they completely exceeded anyone's expectations of that team. And if their really, really old field goal kicker doesn't get hurt, Tara Hammy, we might be having a different conversation about them.
I mean, they might have made it one more week, but I think that's pretty much it.
I think they would have beat the Cowboys if they had their kicker not, Tara Hammy.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that. I just don't think they would have won the following week.
No.
So I don't think that makes a huge difference in their season. I mean, they didn't win a Super Bowl. It's the same thing to be said for 31 other teams. So
it's interesting that the last 4 years, the wild card team has not done very well in the playoffs, considering that before then there was a while there where a wild card team was in the Super Bowl and won.
I know it used to happen all the time, but it's just not the same league anymore. It doesn't feel like. I mean, we're a little more top heavy than we've ever been.
Yeah, you can almost just guarantee that the number 1 seeds are going to be in there, if not, a number 2. But that's different. That's different than what it used to be. And that's probably, I don't know, that's probably for the best.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. All right, let's start talking about these NBA awards.
Yes.
It's 2:11. I gotta be somewhere.
Yeah, it's 3:11 my time.
Okay, let's get rolling. Okay, so Zach and I are doing we're doing mid-season NBA awards based on the season so far. So I think NBA All-Stars is coming right on up, right, next month?
It's like a couple weeks away.
Yeah. So this seems like a good time to do it. I'm going to save this. I have it written in my Rocket book so I can send this to my computer. I'm going to save this to see if any of my picks make it to the end of the season. Okay?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So, how do we want to do this? Do we want to read it off and then you give yours and I give mine?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Do we need to have, like, pick-em music?
That's up to you.
Nah. Yeah. Let's do a little pick-em music.
Yeah, get them.
Get them.
It wouldn't make it, yeah, we got to have a segment where we use that music every week, I feel like.
Yeah. I have some ska on here. Instead, we can use ska.
Don't do that.
Like, don't sully the show with ska.
This isn't the time or the place for ska music.
Not the sport. I mean, we're not talking about, I don't know, dart throwing or whatever. All right. So I'm starting with the MVP. Or should that be last?
I mean, if you want to go for the big gun right off the bat, let's do it.
Let's go last. Let's start with I did not mean to do that. I need to put it on repeat.
My God.
Okay.
I gotta go.
All right. Biggest surprise for the year.
Okay.
Biggest surprise so far for me has been the Denver Nuggets.
Okay.
And I think you could go player or team on this one.
Why are you picking the Denver Nuggets though? Just because they are in second place?
Because they're in second place. I mean, I thought they would be good this season, but I did not think that they were going to be the second best team, and they were the first best for a while.
Right. The Warriors just had to finally get going, but yeah, they were number one for a while.
That's surprising to me. I still think they're going to do really. They're positioned to be a really good team for the rest of the season. I'm going to be interested to see what they do in the playoffs this year.
Me too, especially if they hold a 2 seed because they have a definite home court advantage. I would say even a little more than most other teams do, but I also think Oklahoma City will pass them. So,
okay.
But if they finish top 3, I think they are one of the biggest surprises of the season. If not, like you said, the most surprising team of the year. I went a different route. I decided to go with the Brooklyn Nets because, one, they're in 6th place in the East. They have won 6 in a row, and they are doing it with less talent than other teams who aren't in the playoff picture right now. So I think when you get to that like bottom half of the playoffs, it's just really all about effort with those teams, because there's teams like the Bulls or the Magic or the Pistons that have more personnel talent and aren't playing as hard, and they're not winning as many games. So I don't think anyone saw Brooklyn being this good this year, especially with the people that are leading the team in points, rebounds, things like that.
Okay. I like that.
Yeah, and I think they're going to keep it up. Honestly, I know that they're going to experience some injuries, but like D'Angelo Russell, I've said it before. I think the Lakers gave up on him too soon because he's starting to look like a true point guard, and he is the leader of that team now.
Yeah. I've also been pretty surprised by just some of the teams that like Brooklyn, like the Brooklyn Nets, and then just the Hornets have been surprising.
I mean, Kemba gets them into like an 8 seed almost every year, but I would say for me the more surprising teams are just who's better than the Celtics right now. So the Pacers have played much of the year without Oladipo. Now he's out the rest of the season, and they're still winning games. And then obviously the Milwaukee Bucks, like if you think that the Nuggets are up there in the West, I think they're the East version of that.
Okay. I like it. So biggest letdown so far. So I wrote it this way on purpose, but for the first half of the season so far, I had the Jazz as the biggest letdown. But obviously they picked it up. They're doing good. So I think the biggest letdown now is definitely the Washington Wizards.
Yeah, it's a good one.
Man.
Yeah, because they're a perennial top 5 team in the East, and they have a lot of that same talent. I know now Wall's out for the season, but
yeah.
They even traded for Trevor Ariza before he went down, and they didn't look much better.
Yeah. I also have a biggest letdown person too.
Okay.
Was Chris Paul.
Yeah. I think he's just getting older, and
yeah.
I mean, obviously you can't help the injuries.
No, I mean, it's not necessarily his fault. It's just, it's still a letdown. I mean, I don't know if a letdown necessarily has to be like a disappointing thing. It's just kind of a letdown that his age is caught up, and it's a bummer.
Yeah, my biggest letdown would be the LA Lakers. They're not currently even in the playoff picture right now. They're 1 game out.
Yeah.
LeBron's been hurt, but the other team, you can only and you could say the same about the Minnesota Timberwolves. You can always say that people are young for so long, you can only use youth as an excuse for so many seasons, and eventually they just have to start playing up to their potential, and both those teams really haven't. So you could really take either of those, but I would say just because of the hype, the Lakers for sure, for me, would be that team, at least for the first half of the season. I bet by the end of the year, I'm probably just saying Minnesota, because LA is probably back in the playoff picture and Minnesota is not.
Yeah. Yeah, because I still don't see the Clippers being there.
Yeah, for sure.
All right. Best team? Nah, not yet. Oh yeah, this is just based on personal preference. We'll do this one. I like this one. Favorite player, favorite current player. So, I have 2 here. I'm putting Kawhi Leonard in the mix because he's the reason why I've been watching the Raptors, and I have never traditionally watched that team.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to put him in there because he's intriguing on that team, and I want to see where he goes next year. I don't know if that's favorite player, but maybe it's player I'm most interested in right now. My favorite current player, though, because I have chosen the Portland Trailblazers as my team, has been Damian Lillard. Man.
Right.
Man. He is so good. He's good on the road. He's a stud. He's cool. I
got a couple as well. I couldn't really pick one for this.
Okay.
So I kind of went the same route you did, like a guy from my team because I watch him so much, and then a different person. Probably favorite player because of what he does on both sides of the ball, especially the way he's increased his offensive game this year, would be Paul George.
Oh.
Because, he is nonstop. I would say there's very few players like Kawhi as well, who for the entire 48 minutes they're doing so much on both ends. And then Marco Bellinelli, because the guy never jumps straight up in the air to shoot a jump shot. All of his threes are either some sort of diving sideways or forward angle, and I've never seen someone shoot like this before. And from what I've heard in practice, that's how he practices all of his threes at this point. So I don't know. There's no one else really that's doing what he's doing, so he's hands down my favorite player to watch right now.
I like that. I had a little sneeze action there. I'm glad I can mute myself. Okay, I like that. That's fun. That's good. Okay, so this is a because this is a fun one, so I'll save that for a little bit. I want to talk about most improved player, or you can go team.
No,
overall.
this is an individual award, I think.
Okay. Well,
I mean, it's an individual award in real life. If you want to go team, you can, but
yeah, but I mean, ours is like
yeah.
I went with a player. Most improved, I went with Lonzo Ball on both defensive play and shooting. He is actually, when I was looking at defensive players of the year, he's on a list. He was number 10 on the list that I found on NBA.com for best defensive players of the year.
Okay.
So I thought that was interesting. But because initially I was going to pick him for shooting. He's just gotten so much better at shooting than he was last year.
Okay. Yeah, no, I agree with
Ball.
that. He's become a guy that when LeBron's healthy is someone that he can feed the ball to, get him an open look, and he's hitting them.
Yeah, good for you, Lonzo.
So it's funny that that's who you went with, because I did not see that coming at all. I went with the reason he is on the Lakers. I went with D'Angelo Russell, who got traded to make room for him. And I mean, I kind of alluded to it earlier, but he is the best player on a much, much improved team, and his numbers are up all the way. I mean, he went up from, 15 points last season to 19 points this season, and he's also increased in almost steals, rebounds, assists. Every category is up. So I also thought about considering De'Aaron Fox from the Kings, because his numbers are up from 11 points a game to 17. And he is definitely what makes the Kings run, but they're not winning games anymore. And I'm going to pick the team that's actually, in the playoff race for most of these categories.
Okay, I like that. That's a good one. This is a fun game. I like this. This is fun. I'm really glad you suggested this, because this is definitely something I would love to keep doing. Okay, so let's do. Man, I don't. We're starting to get narrowed down here.
Yeah, just pick. It can be any of them.
Okay. Let's do defensive player of the year.
There we go.
I went with the Greek Freak Giannis.
Nice. I think he has a good chance of winning it this year.
Man, he's so good. So I love watching him play.
So it's interesting that you said him, because I said earlier that sometimes when someone doesn't win a certain award, they get another one. I almost feel like this year he might be the leading candidate for that, because he is a close second or third on MVP, but he's probably not going to get it. So I feel like that's almost pushed him further into that category.
Okay. Yeah.
So I see what you're saying there. And another potential person for this from last year that I saw was Joel Embiid, because I think he, is really the anchor of that defense. But for me, I'm all about steals, man. And I've already alluded to the guy, but it's Paul George. He leads the league in steals, and he's number 2 in the league in deflections, which is what that team's great at. And to be on a team with Russell Westbrook, who is like second to him in steals, like to have another person like that on your team and still put up those numbers is really impressive. So I'm going to go with a guy who not only is the best scorer on his team, but then can go back and guard the best scorer on the other team.
Awesome. Good one.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
Bingo.
Okay. So I already said this earlier, so I'll say it now. Comeback player of the year, I actually have the same as sixth man. I went with Derrick Rose.
Sixth man?
Yeah, and my I also did him as comeback player of the year.
You have him as both.
Well, because for my sixth man, for me it was between Derrick Rose and Dwayne Wade.
Oh, I like that.
So I could probably to keep it separate. I'll say it's D Wade, best sixth man.
Okay, just to split them. Yeah, it's really hard not to pick Lou Williams every year for six man or
I
Eric
thought about
Gordon.
that too.
The two guys are like the only two people who win it anymore.
I know.
So I decided to dig a little deep.
Okay.
Do a little deep digging to someone who I think actually just genuinely deserves it in general. And I decided to go with one of the best stories of the last couple of years, Spencer Dinwiddie, who finally got paid this season after years in the G League. He is up to 17.2 points a game for Brooklyn. So this is my third time I've mentioned Brooklyn for an award, which is pretty crazy.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
But I was going between him and Dennis Schroeder. Once again, this comes down to winning for me. And those two are difference makers on their team. Dennis Schroeder filling in for Russell Westbrook has been insane this year. And also there's been times where they've looked great on the court together. But Spencer Dinwiddie's just had a monster first half of the season. And it's too bad because this morning they released the news that he's out 3 to 6 weeks because he is having, I believe, finger surgery. So he's going to hurt his chances there, but I hope he comes back strong near the end of the year. But I think he's hurt his chances of actually winning the award for the season. But hands down, most or six man, I would say for sure. I mean, you could even probably put him for most improved. But since you already did, or comeback player, is that the other one you did? Comeback player of the year.
Comeback player of the year. I have Derrick Rose on that.
Okay. I might as well do that one now too. I also have Derrick Rose, and obvious reasons. I mean, the guy's almost up to 20 points a game again, as opposed to I think like the 11 that he averaged last season, or not even 11. So I mean, his career was really looking over, or what like it was over. So
I know, and I was excited.
I don't think there's any way you could pick anyone else, you know?
Yeah, I was excited for him to be on the Cavs last year, but
yeah, it didn't even matter if he played well. It's just good to see him play basketball again in general.
But good for him. I'm really glad. Really glad he's doing good. I like him.
I'm right there with you. Now I'm at the point where I'm rooting for him, and not only that, but the guy added like new wrinkles to his game. Now he's one of the most efficient three-point shooters in the league, and this is a guy who was like career below 30%. So now he's up above 40. It's insane that he like used that time off to actually get better at his one like offensive weakness.
Awesome. I'll be right back.
Yep.
Had to make sure somebody was getting ready to go. All right, so that's a good one. Okay, let's do Rookie of the Year. I have Luka Doncic.
Yeah, so do I. This is the one where I'm like, we're not going to disagree on this.
Man, he's so fun to watch, and I think he's got a real big future.
I do too. I mean, people were kind of questioning his first step with the ball. Just because maybe they thought he might be a little slower, and would that lack of athleticism not be able to translate to the NBA? And I think they were just completely wrong about that. I mean, his ball handling skills for a guy that big are insane. He seems to love like big moments. You know, he likes to be the guy with the ball at the end of a game, which is what you want from a guy. And he's only 19 years old, which is insane.
Yep. Best team. Oh no, I'll throw my fun one out there. Biggest D-bag. It's only because I wanted to mention that I think Draymond Green's a douchebag.
Yeah, I don't have another person on that list, so
yeah.
I'm glad you went for it.
I just wanted to put my Draymond Green dig in there. Again, if he was on my team, I would love him, but I don't. He's my least favorite Golden State player because I actually like a lot of those guys.
Me too. I agree with that statement.
You know, what's funny is I was talking about them. You know how people feel about the Patriots. I know a lot of people feel the same way about Golden State, but really, if they're not, as long as Golden State's not playing my team, I love watching them play.
Yeah, I agree.
I totally get it. I totally get why you would want to be a fan of them, and I get it. And now with DeMarcus Cousins, it's like it's even better. Okay.
It's entertaining, but it's scary.
Yes. And so with that said, best team. I'm gonna say for most of the year it was the Denver Nuggets, but I'm gonna say the best team is finally the Golden State Warriors again. I think that they are a better team right now than they were last year, and that is frightening.
I agree. I do think they are better than last year, and I don't think that like I mean, Boogie looks a little slow at times, but the thing is that he adds to the team. It's just such an awesome dynamic, and they're only going to make him do the small things they need him to do. They're not going to ask him to just be all over the place on both sides of the ball. So he's going to be able to pick and choose his shots, and then if he doesn't get the exact shot he wants, he can just get rid of it to one of the 4 other guys. So
he's fitting in really well, really well.
And this might, and he's won the MVP twice already. This might be the best season of Steph Curry's career, which is insane. He just seems to still be improving, which is awesome. And I mean, it can't be easy to be one of the top 4 leading scorers in the league when you have Kevin Durant on your team as well.
Yep.
So it's it's crazy.
And actually, that's why my MVP was tough.
Right. I feel bad for. Yeah, I agree. I feel bad for anyone who has to play the Warriors in the opening round of the playoffs, because that's just, it's too quick. It's too short-lived for whatever team that is to be in there.
I know. I don't want to be the 8th seed.
Yeah.
Most valuable player. Drum roll. I wanted to say Steph Curry, and I still do want to say it a lot. But Steph Curry is also surrounded by so many really good pieces.
Right.
And when he wasn't there, they weren't last. It's just they happen to be first. They're so good. They have such an amazing team. So my MVP is going to be Nikola Jokic for the Nuggets. The team's good.
You're gonna make my head explode.
You don't like it?
I didn't see it coming. I got him in the top 5 for sure, though.
Nikola Jokic, man, I mean, this Nuggets team is, like I said, exceeded, I think, anyone's expectations. And they're really good, and I think they're going to be an imposing force going into the postseason. And if you watch him play, man, he's so good.
Yeah, he's got incredible ball skills for how big he is. I know that everyone talks about like Joel Embiid's ball skills and his ability to shoot from 3 and his defense, but Jokic has all of that as well, and if not, maybe even a little better at some of those things.
Yeah.
I think he's a better passer than Embiid. I think he might be a better 3-point shooter, and he's definitely, for me, better around the basket, going either to his left or his right. So I agree with all of that.
Cool.
But my problem is, 1, you already mentioned Steph Curry. 2, I already mentioned Giannis. I have both of them ahead of him, and either of them would be an easy candidate for MVP this year if James Harden was not in the league. What he's doing is absolutely incredible. He is the definition of an MVP. Yeah. So, like, literally to a T, where would this team be without him going out there and putting up 50 points, 45 points almost every night?
I know.
To the point now where Vegas is having the over-under on his scoring at 42 points is what it was the other night.
Wow.
It's just insane. So the team is only winning because of him, and to me, that's exactly what an MVP is.
That's a good one.
Yeah, I mean, his beard is almost casting a shadow on all these other, like, amazing seasons that are happening. But, any other year, what Jokic or Steph Curry or Giannis is doing, and for me, Giannis is 2, by the way, over Steph Curry, and that's once again because of Kevin Durant playing with Steph Curry.
Right.
So he's going to get better shots. Steph Curry's going to get better shots because of the people around him.
Right.
Where Jokic, Giannis, and James Harden are doing all the creating themselves.
Yeah. I mean, James Harden was definitely one of the ones I thought about going with too. I will admit that I kind of wanted to step out from the ones that I thought were the most obvious.
I agree with you, man.
Because initially I was like, okay, Steph Curry or James Harden, and then I thought about Steph Curry and all the pieces he has. I'm like, I can't go with him. Because it's not like I said, when he wasn't playing, it's not like they were last. They were like second and third.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, Jokic. All right. But yeah, I mean, I think the season ends, and I think James Harden probably will win it.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Because he's doing what? Well, he's won it before. And then
sometimes they use that against you, though. If you've won it, especially the year before, they don't like to give it to someone twice.
And did he win it last year? Yes,
Yeah.
he did. And the year before that was Russell Westbrook, right?
Yep, absolutely. Who could honestly also win it every year if he's averaging a triple-double. Like, that's insane.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a lot of good names in there. But yeah. Well, that's the show. That's it.
That's it. Oh, I do want to say, because they do Coach of the Year every year, I'm giving it to Coach Pop.
Oh, yeah.
Coach Pop.
Yeah.
Why? Because there's 8 new players on the team. The whole, like, legacy was stripped apart. Tony's gone, Manu's gone, Danny's gone, Kawhi's gone. Everyone's gone. And they had to bring in a new regime and same system, different faces. And they were able to make it work, and they're in the playoff race. So for me, that's hands down. But he's also a guy who could probably win it every year. It's just some years they got to give it to other people.
Yeah, and I had him too.
Yeah.
I didn't even write down Coach initially because I was just going to go with him. So.
Oh, yeah, Coach Pop.
Yeah.
Yeah. Though, once again, going back to what you were saying earlier, Nuggets coach could win it too because they're doing some great stuff.
Yeah, they are. Man, it's going to be good.
Yep.
Interesting. Or they'll go with the Toronto Raptors coach and then they'll fire him.
Yeah, that's a good call. Yeah, that's like a curse there. If you wouldn't coach the year, like, oh, am I safe?
Well, thanks everybody for listening to the show. Sorry about our technical difficulties, but I think we finally got a system figured out with this new old computer in here. So I think next week should be much more smooth. And next week we'll be giving our Super Bowl picks.
Oh yeah.
On Saturday. We should be at our normal broadcast time of noon next week because we will have. I had to set this whole thing up today, and it took time. But everybody, thanks for listening to the show. Make sure you find us on Spotify and iTunes, and you can also go to timespentpoorly.fun to watch other old shows as well as the other shows on the network. Mr. Swan is in the process of creating a new show as well.
Yeah, if I ever get my studio done.
Well, you're getting there.
Yeah.
You're getting there. You'll get there, baby. All right, everybody, thank you, and have a lovely day, and enjoy the college basketball games. Enjoy the NBA games tonight.
Oh, yeah, that Sunday night game, man. Golden State at Boston. Let's go.
Yep, I am going to watch that game.
Oh, I'll be watching the Spurs Pelicans instead. But it'll be over at about that time, so I'll watch both.
All right, everybody, thanks, and have a great night, and go Warriors.
I'll see you then, or I'll see you on some other time.